Hi everyone, and welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today. Great to have you with me. Today's pick a card reading question is, will they contact me? Now we're going to break that question down by looking at the other person, get an understanding of how they think and feel about you, what their circumstances are, what's been going on for them up to this particular point, and most importantly, will they reach out? Will they contact you? And if they will, when will that be? So we'll look at a timeline as to when they will actually contact you. Now, before we get started, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. It'd be great to get me out there far and wide. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. And just importantly, this is a general reading, so take away what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Now, before you on the screen, we've got 4 different cards, each with a different colored dice. And the idea is to choose a card with a dice that resonates with you most strongly, and that will be your reading. Now, card number 1 is the green dice. Card number 2 is the purple dice. Card number 3 is the orange dice. And card number 4 is the blue dice. So taking in a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, just letting go of any tension that you might be holding from within. And drawing your attention back to the screen and the cards before you. Which card with the dice has the strongest resonance for you? Is it card 1, card 2, card 3, or card 4? Down below are 4 different timestamps. If you would like to go to the timestamp that represents your card, I'll be with you in a moment. Hi everyone, this is card number 1. This is the green dice, and today's reading is, will they contact me? So let's get the cards straight out on the table and see what's going on. We've got Judgment, 7 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Pentacles, the Hierophant, 10 of Cups, Death, 2 of Swords, you deserve love, you are lovable, Listen, and Dedicated Effort. Ooh, so okay, drawn down here to Death and the 2 of Swords. I feel these cards reflect you. And so you know, you've given up on where this is going. I think you think it's a dead end, that there's nothing in it. That this person's not going to contact you, and nothing will come to fruition. You're quite blinkered about it, I think, in a way as well. Perhaps, because I feel like there's something quite deep here. I think perhaps you feel that this person doesn't see anything in you, that they don't feel that you are the one for them, or that perhaps that you don't have anything to offer them in a way that would allow them to think that there was a potential connection here. I think you can be very down on yourself, very hard on yourself. Maybe also you feel that this is about you in some way, that this is because of you, that your inability to be more than something that you think you should be has sort of failed the potential of this particular relationship or connection with this person. If we come over here to you deserve love, you are lovable, I think this applies directly to what it is that I'm seeing. It's like a lack of self-love, most certainly, but also just a lack of acknowledgement of what it is that you really had to give as a person. I think you've been through some really tough times as an individual. I think you've been let down by people. And I think you don't expect more than this. I think that's a part of what I'm feeling. It's almost like, yep, that would be right. If this person doesn't contact me, or if this fails, that's about right, because this is how it always works for me. It never ever goes anywhere. And it's almost like that's like a denial of what your worth is in terms of love. And so, because you do deserve love and you are lovable. We all are. That's a part of what being human is all about. And I think if I come up here to Judgment and the Seven of Pentacles, I can see why this is probably a very frustrating process for you. This is a very, very considered individual. I think they reflect on things that are going on in a way where they have a very deep process. They're not going to make snap decisions or or a rash sort of response. Like they're not like that as a person. Judgment, it's a card of calling. It's really asking you to sort of sit up and have a look at what's going on. It's a real stop point in your life that really does say, look, based on your experiences, where are you going with all of this? And the Seven of Pentacles is a card of contemplation and reflection. It's also a card about investment. And I think that they're actually having a look at where they're at with you in terms of what's been going on, because there's been some accumulated experiences that have actually given this connection quite a foundation. You'd probably be calling this a relationship by now, if it was moving forwards. And I think they're really sort of trying to sort of get a grasp as to what it means. And so there's a lot of weight to this for them. It's not some flippant decision-making process that sort of says, yeah, I'll just go with the flow. It's really like, okay, if we're going to go here, if we're going to take it to the next step, I really want to know where I'm at. So some very serious considerations going there, and that's based on some heavy criteria as well. I say heavy, and what I mean by heavy is, if I look here to the Ten of Pentacles, this is a card of tradition. There's some conservative values wrapped up in it. It's all about expectation from family and community and the society. It's about what you're supposed to be living up to, how you are supposed to manifest your life according to what people think and feel and tell you about life. Yeah. So, very much a card of being brought up according to certain types of expectations, really. And the Wheel of Fortune is a card of chance. It's about rolling the dice and seeing where things are going. It's what's up ahead. So where are things going in terms of my values? There's also kind of money. There's a lot of money involved here. This person's very financially focused. My sense is that what's going on here is this is somebody who's very serious about the idea of a commitment in a relationship. They've come to this point where, things have sufficiently built to, like a foundation between the two of you, where it's like, okay, if we're going to build on this, like, what does that really mean in terms of maybe having kids or settling down and, maybe, networking into the wider family and community, really. And what's that going to take in terms of money and security? And where am I at, with all of this? Can I support that? So I think you've got a very considered, maybe a little bit conservative, but a very considered, thoughtful individual. But by the same token, they're also very slow in their process. The Pentacles are all about consideration and manifestation through thought, feeling, and effort. They don't just happen overnight. You got to work towards them, and this person is certainly working towards the idea of where it's all going. Coming back down here to this line here, and if I come over here to listen, I feel that you have been really blinkered, not through any fault of your own. I think just based on your own insecurities. And listen is a card that really sort of suggests to pay attention to what the other person is saying. But it also requires you to center yourself and to become quiet. It's quite meditative in a way, where you sort of really begin to involve things at a much more holistic level. How do you think? How do you feel? How do you sense what's going on? Like what's going on at the moment for you? At the moment, you're just expecting the worst. But actually, if you sit back and you really think about it, and you actually go more into the into the experience of being very present about your connection to this person, I think you probably feel that you'll hear something quite different. Allowing yourself to stop and listen not only allows yourself to listen to what this other person has been saying or what they're trying to say now, it connects you to them in a way that's actually probably a little bit more fully comprehensive of where they're at, and in terms of your own process as well, which is a little bit narrow just at this point in time. Dedicated effort. This is another really good card that builds on what we're seeing here. This is about creating and maintaining relationships, because at the end of the day, they do take effort and they take some diligence. You got to chip away at it. They don't just fall out of the sky. Relationships don't just happen overnight. We can be really lucky and get along with people, but there's always the good and bad in anything in life. And at the end of the day, relationships are about challenges, because they confront us to look at ourselves and who we are, and force us to learn things. And I think the thing is with this particular card, when a situation becomes a bit difficult, it's very easy to lose focus. And I feel that, perhaps that's actually what's going on for you now, is that, there's some challenges here. You're expecting the worst. Maybe you're not fully hearing this person's process, based on the idea that you're just kind of panicked and expecting that you're never going to find what it is that you really want in terms of love. And that's not the case. You need to listen, to take a step back, and actually to allow yourself your own process as a part of this, because this is about figuring out what you want as much as what it is that the other person wants. It's not all about them having power over you, and it's really about an opportunity for you to sort of take a step back. So I think that where I'm coming from with dedicated effort, it's time to learn more about the relationship, based on understanding, but also through communication. And I think that means that the both of you really need to get to a point where you're ready to do that. The question is, will they contact me? Yes, they will. They will contact you. I think the thing is, you're actually going to be really a bit surprised about what comes out of this, because this is somebody who is heading towards the idea of settling down, wanting to have a family. The Hierophant, it's all about commitment. In some cases, marriage, but also it can be de facto relationships. The idea of the Hierophant is it's contractual. You mesh your lives together in a way where you buy things together. You put bills in both of your names. You buy a house together. It's about the next step in terms of what it means to settle down towards having children or a family or some idea of a family. Ten of Cups, card of happiness and joy, but it's derived through this idea of commitment and heading towards having a family. It's about what feeds back into your life through the experience of love, but also, love, commitment through having children, and really coming back to here, which is based on this person's ideals, which is really about, setting up a family life that has values which are inherent and that can be passed on to your children, their children. So I think you need to be very careful here. Don't be closed. Don't think the worst. You need to do some work on yourself here. You need to listen to yourself. You actually need to listen to your own heart. You've blocked this out because you're expecting the worst. You don't feel that you deserve love. You do deserve love. And also, when relationships actually get challenging, sometimes they're challenging because we need to learn things, and it's not an excuse just to give up on them, okay? Yes, this person is very slow in their process, granted, but also that's their process. And that's something that also you need to listen to and give them the space to work through, because that's how they get to their conclusions. So patience is required here. Guys, I hope this reading has made some sense to you. And if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. It'd be great to get me out there far and wide. And hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www TonyFoxTarot.com, plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my services as a psychic tarot reader. And just on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that I've already posted and keep an eye out for those that'll be up and coming in the weeks ahead. Take care. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is card number 2. This is the purple dice, and today's reading is Will They Contact Me? So let's have a look and see what's going on. We've got the Sun, 6 of Swords, the Empress, Queen of Wands, the Lovers, Ace of Cups, the Devil, 4 of Wands, Chemistry, a strong magnetic attraction, Challenging Times, and Helpless and Hopeless. Let's see if we can make sense of all this. I get a sense that this other person has not... I feel that they've been avoiding you. Maybe avoiding your calls. Maybe even avoiding you on the street. There's a real sense of not wanting to engage. Not wanting to face you about something. Yeah, I get a feeling they're kind of hiding behind something here that is very much about their lack of responsibility. You know, this kind of is something that features quite strongly here. I get a feeling that perhaps this has been very fundamental to the connection with this person, not really stepping up to the mark and engaging with you in a way where they really show you that they're interested in having a stronger commitment. Maybe avoiding certain conversations that are focused on where this is all going, next level stuff. Queen of Wands is a card of energy. It's a card of responsibility, but it's a limited responsibility. It falls short of the King. King has all the responsibility, and King also has all the energy. So energy input is high. It's not to say that they're not actually applying themselves in some way, but it's just not going to that next step. Empress is a card of productivity. It's very much around harvest and the idea of reaping the rewards of your labor. You know, reaping what you sow, essentially. So once again, you know, just highlights this idea that there is input there, but just limited to some degree. It's capped. I think this is a bit of an issue for you. You've been very driven about the relationship or the connection with this person. I think you've really applied yourself in a way where you've really tried to get some really good outcomes that put you both on the same page. You're really trying to map things out so that, you know, you can achieve, a degree of progress that leads you to feel that it's worth it. You know, the 4 of Wands is a card of work, of applying yourself really strongly to a focus and getting the rewards from it. The garland is again another reward element to what I'm seeing here, but you're not getting that. It's paired with the Devil, which is a card of relationships that have limitations, that don't quite fulfill their greatest potential, but which leave you feeling a bit trapped. You know, this person can get under your skin a bit. The fact that you're wanting it to be something that it's not achieving leaves you feeling that you really want it. So it creates a lot of desire to get it to a place where you feel that it could potentially be. The Devil is also really indicative of a very strong dynamic, a very love-hate dynamic. I think there's a lot of energy between the two of you, but it can be really extreme, very polarized. It's all great when it's really great, but when it's really bad, it's really bad. So very, very much based on the idea of this particular card, which is chemistry, a strong magnetic attraction. I think that that's very much the case between the two of you. A lot of sexual energy, very charged. And I think that, you know, you're really innately drawn to each other from a kind of charismatic point of view. There's a lot of very intense feeling, very passionate, but in an unbridled sense. I think the two of you are coming from very different angles, and there's not a great deal of dialogue going on there in terms of what you're both trying to achieve, and you're on very different pages. So it doesn't make sense on that level for either one of you, but at the same time, from a much more sort of innately attractive point of view, there is this real sort of draw to each other that makes total sense. And that is a difficult dynamic to work with, in as much as I think that it can create a lot of, coming over here to challenging times, it can create a lot of very kind of like quarrelsome energy that ends up in arguments. And often I think, it's also about instigating arguments to take ground, to take a position that is really about a power struggle, wanting to get it over on the other person. And I think that applies to the both of you, where you're very much coming from a place of wanting to be right rather than doing what is right. So again, highlights an underlying power struggle, where the ego really is looking to build on an opportunity at the expense of the other person. Yeah, I think you've got to be very careful there. Coming over here to the Sun and the Six of Swords. The Sun is a card of happiness and positivity. It's about joy and fulfillment. Bright sunny days. Everybody feels good on a bright sunny day. I think it's just been one thing after another with the both of you, though. The Six of Swords is a card that reflects the idea that, there has been one issue after another that has really weighted things down. At times where it feels like the boat's sinking, a lack of resolution, where you both see things on the same level. It's more a case of not seeing eye to eye more of the time than it is not. And the Six of Wands is about a card that takes you to calmer waters so that you have time to reflect. I think overall, you're both trying to push things in the right direction. You're trying to push it in a happier, more positive direction up to this point. The Sun is also a card of kids, and children, the idea of children. Perhaps this other person has taken issue with the idea of children, maybe having children. But I do feel that this has been an issue in terms of the direction or the thrust of this particular relationship. And if I come over here to the Empress and the Queen of Wands, Empress is a card of maternity. It's about children, having children, bearing children, the maternal instinct, and the process of creating a new life. And I feel once again, this person's just not living up to that particular expectation. Perhaps that's something they're wanting to avoid. It's too much responsibility for them. They don't feel that this is something that they can actually take on their shoulders at this time. And the Empress implies to me that perhaps one of you is feeling really maternal, feeling instinctually drawn to have a child. Maybe this other person is just ignoring that, fobbing it off, not taking it seriously, or certainly not giving you anything to work with in terms of what the future might hold in relation to that. So I think that there are some issues there in terms of kids and children for some of you, but overall I think it's about happiness, trying to get it to a place where things are happier between the two of you, having to contend with this other person because they're just not living up to the responsibility that's needed to make this into a much more next level commitment. I think you've applied yourself very strongly to really maybe sort of counteract that by compensating and pushing things forward to the next level. The two of you have a really strong dynamic, a very love-hate relationship at times that can be very, very difficult to deal with, and as a consequence, the energy gets very charged, very argumentative. I think the both of you are trying to get it over on each other, a real power struggle there. Helpless and Hopeless is a really important card because it's a card of action. There are times where you just feel like there's no direction with a relationship. It doesn't matter which way you turn, just does seem helpless and hopeless. But this is a card that reminds us of the fact that if we adjust the way that we think about things in a relationship, we can get very different outcomes. We don't need to take ground to always be right, to be defensive, to be argumentative, to actually get our point across. Sometimes it's about taking a step back and actually just letting things be, listening to the other person. Also, recognizing that sometimes that we can be wrong within ourselves. In either case, we are empowered to actually push things in a direction that's much more positive. And I feel that this is what needs to happen for you in particular, is that, what binds the two of you together? Is it just the idea of getting it to a place where you want it to be, or is it because you love this person? Because if you're coming from a much more heartfelt place, it's easier to recognize where the other person's at, maybe be a little bit more forgiving or understanding of the fact that at this time they just don't have the capacity to take on the relationship at a next level. Or if it's around children, maybe this person feels that they're just not in a healthy place where they have everything that is needed to have a productive outcome. The Empress and the Queen of Wands, this is also about work and productivity. This person is very focused on their work at the moment. Queen of Wands is a card of, professional focus, their job, their career. The Empress is about outcomes that give you productive outcomes. Perhaps this person feels limited in terms of what they're earning, what their potential is in terms of where they're going with their job. That could say a lot about the idea of having kids. But coming back down here to helpless and hopeless, it's about recognizing the ability to create a relationship of your dreams. This can work if you're coming from the right place. Now, the question is, will they contact me? The answer to that question is yes, they will. The Lovers is a card of intimacy and, honesty in a relationship. It's about coming together in a loving capacity. I feel this person will contact you. The two of you will come back together. The Ace of Cups is a card of new beginnings where there is much more emotional fulfillment. That's really a focus around the kind of sense of feeling and connection from a much more spiritualized perspective. The relationship comes back together and there's a new beginning there in terms of the both of you perhaps understanding that this is about a fresh new start where you're being much more honest with each other about what you want, okay? Coming back together where you're both on the same page to say we want to achieve a new beginning that is really about loving each other, being with each other. Perhaps this particular process has been one of elimination, realizing what it is that you don't want, realizing what it is that you do want. I think through this particular process, this person is going to realize that they really do want to be with you. And they also want to be with you in a way where they will give you what you want, whether that's on an emotional level, but also the Ace of Cups is a card of new birth. So it's a whole new life. And that means children. So coming together in an intimate relationship where the both of you are being much more honest with each other, and the idea of a child is also on the horizon. I feel that the thrust of this particular reading is heading in a really positive direction, but the both of you just need to back down a little bit, let go of the defensive energy, be a little bit more understanding of where each other is at, allowing process, but also bridling that really charged dynamic energy that you both share. It's important to have a dialogue as to where things are going so that you have constructive joint views. I think you've been trying to achieve that, but I think that that's actually much more achievable on the horizon with the both of you making your mind up to come back together for the right reasons, okay? So it's about coming from a place of love, and I think that that really focuses the energy in a much more positive light. So I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback, and like and share this video where you can. Great to get me out there far and wide. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. It'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. And just on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that are already there and keep an eye out for those that are on the horizon in the next few weeks. Take care. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is card number 3. This is the orange dice, and today's reading is Will They Contact Me? So let's get the cards straight out, see what's going on. And we have the Tower, Ace of Swords, the Chariot, 5 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, 2 of Swords, the Empress, Queen of Cups, Heal, dreams coming true, and free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. Coming up here to the Tower and the Ace of Swords, I feel that there's been some, well, I feel like there's been a really big fallout, a big breakup here. Things have kind of blown up in everybody's face. I feel like it's been a bit of a difficult situation for you, but also for the other person, in a way where they've moved on just very clinically, very cold. There's really no, I don't feel any heart there. It's just, things have become really difficult. Obviously, I get a sense that there's sort of, that it's been irreconcilable. But the way that they've gone about moving on is that they've just tried to take control by sort of saying, well, it's a new beginning for me. I'm out of here. And they've done that in a very detached and cold way. The Tower is a card of, it's a card of decay. When the tower crumbles, it's because it needs to come down to the ground. Often it's about pressure that's building up over time, where things need to be brought undone in a way that they can be seen in a clearer light. It's really about the foundation. Did this relationship have a strong foundation to move forwards? And either way you look at it, it's come to a point where things have broken down, and it's showing it for what it is in many ways. The Chariot and the 5 of Wands, I really do feel that this person has kind of thrown themselves back out there into the mix, socially. I kind of feel like they're back out on the scene. Maybe you have a circle of people that you both know. I get a sense that they're just out there socializing, like nothing ever happened. There's a real sense of ego there too. The Chariot is a card of drive, will, determination. It's a real go forward card. It sort of moves in a direction that's really about achieving success. And this person is moving on from the situation away where they're just kind of really focused on getting out there. The 5 of Wands is a card of socialization. It's about being out in the mix. It's about banter and being with other people. So perhaps they're out there socializing with friends in a way that, is about stroking their ego, making themselves feel better about what it is that's happened. In any case, I just don't feel that they're having a moment to really reflect or to take this on in a way that's heartfelt. Very cold, very ego-driven, really getting out there and just making themselves feel better and look better by, just kind of, taking control of the situation in a bit of an egotistical way. If I come down here to you, the Empress and the Queen of Cups, very different point of view. I think you really, really felt a lot for this person. I feel that you were in love with this person, okay? And that puts a really different filter on it from your perspective, because the way this person has been acting has been really kind of brutal in light of your feelings. I think you're very sensitive, very loving. I think you give so much. I mean, you're at a point in your life where you are just ready to have a relationship that is about plunging into the deep end as far as, sharing and caring and nurturing somebody else. So you do have a lot to give, but the Empress is also a card of maternity. So I feel for some of you, this is a card of having children. It's the instinctual urge, where you feel like you just want to get pregnant, have children. So I feel for a lot of you, perhaps it's, you're at a point in your life where you're really wanting to have kids. And that would have made this even more difficult, because if you were really in love with this person and you also feel that you want to have kids, you've got this person who's just been really black and white and really kind of gutless in a way that doesn't, recognize where you're at and has a total lack of sensitivity to be able to, even to kind of move on in a way that has some grace, to show some respect of where you're at, what you had invested, and how it is that you feel. So if I come over here, I'd like to have a look at heal, and heal is all about bringing in healing energy into this situation. It's been a very difficult time. And as much as this person has been very cold, kind of brutal, it is also really important to have integrity and to understand that no one's perfect. This person is really insecure. I know the question is, are they going to contact me? And I will get to that. I think that it's important to forgive. Healing is about forgiveness, but it's also about forgiving freely without blame or resentment. You're better than that. You don't need to get caught up in that energy, because that would just really tie in with how this person is responding. I think also it's important to remember that there is divine inspiration here as well, that you can actually make this a spiritual experience. Often the lowest of lows, when the tower brings things right down to the ground, it's a very painful experience, and that pain can generate a low that feels like you're never going to come out of it. I'm not saying that that's the case for you, but for some of you it might be. And it is an opportunity to recognize that things happen for a reason. The tower is struck by lightning, yeah? It's divine intervention on one level, yeah? The universe is putting things right because they need to be right. They need to be truthful. They need to be honest. At least you can see where things are at this particular point in time. Coming over here to dreams coming true. I think you really need to be clear about what it is that you want from a relationship and how you want that to look, okay? That's where I'll leave that for the moment. If I come over here to Wheel of Fortune and the Two of Swords, I don't feel this person is going to contact you, yeah? I think they've got their blinkers on. I don't think they want to look at the situation. I don't think that they have the capacity to be able to look inside themselves and to look at the truth of what's going on. I think they're in a state of denial. They don't know where things are going for them at a personal level for the next phase of their life. I think they're a little bit aimless, a little bit lost. Their default position is to come from the ego and to brush up against other people in a way that is a little bit competitive, asserting dominance, taking control in a way where they feel that they look good, and they look for people to stroke that ego and to feed into that way of taking control. They want power in a way. But that's not power coming from a heartfelt place. That's power coming from an insecurity place. So I don't feel that they are going to contact you, and I think that they are in a state of denial. And a part of what I feel here for you is that healing does need to take place, but this aspect here, dreams coming true, your wishes will be granted if you're clear about what they are. You are a person who is very connected. I think you're very spiritually inspired. I think you're really connected to nature. Maybe there's something a bit weaker about some of you. I just got a feeling that nature is really important to you. Very intuitive, you have a sense of how things work without having to rationalize them. Maybe a little bit psychic even. The energy from this person is completely polarized and very needy. From your point of view, it's really about cleaning this up so that you can walk away with integrity. And I feel that healing is a part of that process, but that dreams coming true is a very important part of giving back to yourself. This card also asks you to engage in activities that give you pleasure, that allow you to indulge yourself. It's all a part of giving back to you, yeah? But being clear about what it is that you want at the same time in terms of a relationship. You're ready for somebody to be really honest. You're ready for some of you to have a child. You're ready to be in a connected experience that is about honesty. So it's everything that this hasn't been in terms of this particular process. Free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. I feel that this card is just so significant in terms of where you're at as a person. You're unique. You are individualistic. You have so much to give. in terms of perspective, but also in terms of love. I think it's really important to nurture that, to protect that in a way that doesn't allow harm to come to it, but also to replenish yourself after this particular experience. Give back to yourself, indulge, comes back to here, dreams coming true, yeah? Be open to the universe and what it is that is sending, your way. I will be clear about one thing, the saying, careful what you wish for, because dreams do come true. Just be clear about it. Be honest with yourself about what you want. And I think you are. I think you're ready for that, but it's about the next stage. And a part of what needs to happen here is that you need to mop up what's just happened in a way where you can get yourself back into balance, but to be clear about where you're going next. So I don't feel that this is going to be a messy process for you. I think it's just a matter of figuring out more clearly who this person is, what it is that they've done, and allowing that to speak for itself in a way that gives you clarity, validates where you're at. But there is no doubt that you've had a lot of love for this person. You've been very involved with them. So there is also a process of getting through that. Guys, I hope this reading has made some sense to you. And if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. It'd be great to get me out there far and wide. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, if you would also like to browse the videos that I've already posted to YouTube, feel free to do so, and keep an eye on those that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Thanks very much. Take care. Hi everyone, this is card number 4, and this is the blue dice. Today's reading is Will They Contact Me? So let's have a look and see what's going on. Cards on the table. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, 3 of Swords, Strength, Page of Cups, Death, 10 of Cups, Temperance, Ace of Swords, Strengthening bonds. Coming together. Keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. Coming down here to Temperance and the Ace of Swords, I feel that you are the one who has actually called off the connection to this person. You've cut away. You've been quite clinical about it as well. It's like, snap decision, made your mind up, moving on. Don't want to have anything to do with this. I don't know that that's been so easy. Ace of Swords is certainly a card of new beginnings where you cut away from your past, move on quite clinically. But it's very decisive action, I know what I want, I know what I need to do, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm doing it. It's a take no prisoners card, really. Very assertive. Temperance is a card of coming to terms with things, getting a balance, finding connection. Very spiritualized card as well. I feel that there's been a very spiritualized connection with this person. The two of you have been thrown together in a way where it's been quite intensive. Gotten on really well, but there's a definite sense that, there has been a gravitational pull between the two of you. You've really orbited around each other in a way where you've had a lot to share, a lot in common. Really nice flow, very respectful, very fluid, and let's have a look up here at Wheel of Fortune and the 3 of Swords. I feel that this other person leading up to this particular point, I feel that they've come out of some previous relationship or heartache. They've been in a situation where they've been quite crushed. Perhaps they've been very, very much in love with the person prior to meeting you, and for whatever reason, that has not gone so well, and so they kind of moved on and, entered into a next phase, really, in terms of where they're going with their life, beyond that particular connection. But at the same time, they've also brought in some quite heavy stuff, just in terms of having to debrief themselves about what it is that's going on. So it's not like a fresh start with somebody who is clear in terms of where they're at a heartfelt level. It's like they brought baggage, okay? Doesn't mean to say that this person hasn't really been taken by you. Over here to the Strength and Page of Cups, I think that they've been really quite besotted about you. They've really, wow, you've really captured their attention in a way where they just see so much potential within you. They really like you. You know, Page of Cups is a card of new beginnings in terms of love. It's infatuation, it's flirtation, it's about meeting somebody new who really captures your attention. But Strength is a card of feelings. This is quite intense. They felt really intensely about you. And I can see that down here in Temperance and the Ace of Swords as I was describing before. I think that both of you have had a real intensity in terms of a very gravitational draw towards each other that has really kind of taken you both off of your feet, swept you both off of your feet. Strength is a card of raising energy, raising emotion, but it's also very controlled and refined. I think this person has been quite pointed in terms of what they see, how they feel about you. It's not flippant, even though the Page of Cups is a very young, youthful energy in terms of the birthing of the idea of love. I think this person's been pretty sure about what it is that they see. There's a kind of a bit of a love at first sight scenario, if you ask me. But perhaps the reason why you've cut away is because this person hasn't come into your life in a way where it's easy. You know, can you trust somebody who has just come out of a relationship? Swords are about conflict. Trust is always an issue with the swords. Swords can see problems. Perhaps you've seen something within this person that's really sparked a defense mechanism, yeah, a self-protective mechanism that says, I don't need to have any drama in my life that's about getting complicated over some person who's just come out of a relationship or a scenario where they've got a heavy heart. I just don't want to be hurt. Yes, swords are very self-protective in terms of moving in a way that actually defends themselves from any potential heartache, and especially in terms of the idea of love and affection. Coming together, really interesting card. It's a card of partnership and harmony. It highlights the fact that there could be a partner who's ready to commit to a more fully developed relationship. It's also a card of healing, people coming together in the spirit of love and forgiveness. I wondered also whether this person has a child for some of you. Maybe they've come from a relationship where they actually have kids or a child. Page of Cups is a sibling or a child in a family. It might, for some of you, mean that this person has some important priorities that they need to that they need to provide in terms of giving their attention to a young one, yeah, and that can be a little bit complicated because that means perhaps at times you're not going to be number one off the rank in terms of priority. You know, so you've got to filter this down. Where do I stand? What is it that I want? You know, maybe you felt that that's not a part of what you saw coming in terms of your idea of meeting the ideal person. Well, that's really interesting because keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. And I feel there's something here between the two of you that has yet to be unraveled. Now, the question is, will they contact me? Okay, now that's a little bit complicated, but the answer is yes. The answer is yes, they will contact you. However, I feel that this person is going through a really difficult transitional point in their life, ending linked to a new beginning. That's what death is all about. It's about things coming to a fairly abrupt halt, everything completely changing around you, lots of dust kicked up in the air, complicated situations that take a little bit of a time process in order for them to filter down and for the dust to settle so that you can be clear about where things are moving forwards to. I think perhaps you've actually got an instinctual insight into that, or maybe you've just seen it coming and that's not what you've wanted to be involved in. I do feel that this person will contact you. Yeah, 10 of Cups, card of happiness, fulfillment. It's also a card of family. I feel that once things settle down and that everybody's happy from where it is that they've actually come from, that could be about children, family that they're leaving behind, or it could just be the relationship that they've actually moved on from. I feel like once things have settled down and everything kind of finds its balance, this person will be in touch with you. But I feel that that's a bit of a process. And I feel that there's some time that will take place before that happens. It might be a stretch of time. So that could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah. But they will get in touch with you, because at the end of the day, they're going through a very transformative period in their world that requires them to focus in a way that gives everybody else what it is that they need, so that they can get themselves back into balance and move forwards in terms of reconnecting. I did feel for some of you that this meant the idea of a child perhaps that they're actually leaving behind, or that is a part of a family unit that they have moved on from. But I don't feel that this is going to water down the feeling, the intensity of what it is that they see and experience from being with you. And I feel that they will want to come back to that start point and kick things off. Now, what's interesting here is strengthening bonds. This is about being realistic about what it is that you expect from other people and what it is that they can give in return. You know, and that has a fairly big bearing on what's going on here. This person has come from a difficult situation, but it doesn't change the fact that they feel really intensely about you, and it doesn't change the fact that you also feel the same, and that when you've come together, that you've actually shared this particular experience. But you do have to be realistic, because life isn't black and white. Life is full of complexity. It's full of shades of grey. Nobody's situation is ever straightforward. And just because they've been in a relationship doesn't mean that they can't decipher that in a way that actually gets true back to where they're truthfully in their heart, to recognize how it is they really feel about an opportunity that has arisen, being you and meeting you. I think it's really important to ground yourself. Take a really down-to-earth approach with this particular person, okay? Your expectations are more likely to be met that way, yeah? If you're in a strengthened position, an earthed position, grounding yourself, going into nature, hug a tree, you know, get your feet on the ground without shoes on, feel the earth beneath you, meditation. This is a process of steadying your energy. Calm energy will translate into a secure and strong relationship, if that's what you want. The thing is that they will contact you. This has an opportunity to move forward, but the only way you're going to initiate this once again and get through this in truth is to really be honest with yourself about what it is that you want and what it is that's possible according to circumstances for the both of you. Keep an open mind. Really important stuff. You know, things aren't always packaged up the way we think they're going to be packaged up. Opportunities are all around us, and sometimes we just don't see the wood for the trees because we're too busy sticking to what we think should happen. You know, maybe an ideal. I feel there's something in this connection. I feel there's more to go, and I feel that it will reignite within a maximum of about 8 months' time. Guys, I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments. It'd be great to get your feedback. Hit like and share. It'd be great to get me out there far and wide. And if you would like to subscribe, please do so, and tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you the notifications for any future readings that I post. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. And just on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that I've already posted and keep an eye out for those on the horizon that come out every week. Thank you.